with, let me look at my notes. I hate to say that I had to remember that. What is it? Europe? The European theater, right? Again, there's a complex set of societies and cultures which are very powerful today. So we'll take a break and set up. The last team presenting will be Team Europe. Introduce yourself, please. I'll see if we can get a shot here. Hold on. There we go.
Hi, my name is Karthik. I'm doing my master's in industrial engineering, and I'm a part of Team Europe. Thank you.
Okay. You have it.
Thank you. All right, good morning, everybody. I'm here, Karthik. I'm here to talk about Team Europe. It's a very, it's like tons of information, so we have tried to consolidate most of the information. So I hope it's going to be an interesting set of slides for you. Let me introduce the team members. First of all, it starts with Jessica, who dealt with Denmark and Sweden. Our fearless leader, Bob Hutchinson, who took care of Netherlands. Matthew take care of Belgium, and me taking care of France and a little part of Germany. And Himanshu Thapa, right over here, who took care of Germany. And Arthur Pasdan, who took care of Norway and Switzerland. So the main purpose of this project is not to just consolidate tons of information about each country and just go over like 100 slides or so. The main purpose is to provide practical insights about the cultural implications in the European region. So in a nutshell, if you want to do business in Europe, what are the stuff that we need to consider a lot? So considering the vastness of the information and the time limit that we have here, I'm going to consolidate most of the information and present business situations, like 8 business situations that we're going to come across. So I'll be dealing with it in detail. So the first thing, when you talk about Europe as a whole continent, the thing is there is no single European cultural model involved in the continent. It's like a set of countries with different nationalities, like different national histories, each of them has its own culture, language, and a sense of pride within their own achievements. So it's really difficult to generalize European culture. So what we've done is an appreciation for the cultural implications of each country, the contributions of each country to the business world and to the general world and everything. So when you talk about Europe, I'll just include a few lines about Europe as a whole. When you talk about the geographical region, you can see that there's a long coastline involved in Europe. So this reflects that it is really good for exploration and trade, sea trade kind of stuff. It has some of the world's best ports. So this leads to easy access to oceans and hence very good industrialization. And when you talk about the historical part, European nations played a major role in the World War II. So they had their own impacts and the government changed it. The government perceptions and attitudes, they change according to the world wars and everything. So if you talk about the economic factors, you have a concept called European Union and the common currency euro, which is being practiced in 27 countries across Europe. So this has led to integration of separate countries into a single European model. And this is, we all can see, it has led to rapid industrialization within Europe as a country. So having talked about Europe as a whole, let's dig into each country. So we have considered 8 countries here. So I'm going to present 8 management situations. We're going to only worry about the management part. So we're going to consider about one by one. So let's first talk about a general thing, like the key national factors affecting the culture of a particular country. If you talk about Denmark, they are really environmentally conscious. They're considered one of the most competitive economies and also one of the most least corrupt countries in the world. And you have a concept of power distance index, as mentioned by Himanshu in his previous presentations. It's like the low power distance index means that there is no gap between the rich and the poor. So most of the people there are from the middle class. So this contributes to the society. They all have like an equal view. And if you talk about Sweden, another Scandinavian country, they're all socialist people. It's like a social welfare country. There are a lot of social reforms happening there. And the important thing is there are a lot of technology firms being developed, like cell phone companies and everything. There are like a lot of technology firms being developed. If you talk about Netherlands, it has a history of commercial enterprises. There is a port in Europe which is located in Rotterdam in Netherlands. This is Europe's busiest and the largest port. So the most of the activity in Netherlands is processed towards like commercial activities, food processing, and a lot of sea trade going on in that country. And if you talk about Belgium, it's a very interesting country because you have multicultural environment within the same country. That is, you have the northern part, the southern, and the eastern part, all separated together within the same country. So the northern part is called Flanders, where people speak Dutch, and the southern part is called Wallonia, where people speak French, and you have a small German area in the southeast. So it's like multilingual, and there's like a lot of influence on the culture. So the culture in the north is totally different from the one in the south. It's just like India. So if you talk about France, the first thing that comes to our mind is they are global leaders in tourism, fashion, and food. They have a sense of pride with their things. If you talk about tourism, there are like 82 million foreign visitors visiting France every year. So it's like the leading tourist destination in the world. And no one wants to tell about fashion. They're really concerned about their fashion stuff. And they want to be dressed really well, and they all have their appearance factor a lot. Now, if you talk about Germany, Germany is like the largest national economy in Europe, major manufacturer of automobiles. Major factor, a good source of income for German people is through automobiles. Name any company, any leading automobile company, and they might be from Germany. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, Porsche, Volkswagen, etc., etc. You can go ahead with that. And you talk about Norway. Norway has a lot of oil and gas reserves, so a lot of wealth comes from that area. So the culture and the society is more oriented towards that kind of a strong social welfare system. And finally, we have Switzerland. Switzerland is multilingual. It is a very neutral country. It has not been involved in any kind of war or any kind of civil wars or any political things since 1815, if I remember correctly. So it's like multilingual. You have like 3-4 languages being spoken there, and it's really environmentally concerned. Let's go to the next one. So talking about additional discriminating national factors. So Denmark is people are really creative. They are really they have technical excellence, and Sweden is again neutral like Switzerland. And the important thing is like they have high taxes. I read in an article that people in Sweden, they usually pay from like around 48 to 60% of their income in taxes. So it's like a huge amount. And if you talk about Netherlands, it's a liberal society. Their drugs and prostitution is considered legal in Netherlands. You have drugs being sold in coffee shops. There is another concept called coffee shops. In the US, coffee shop is just a coffee bar where you just go and have beverages. In Netherlands, you call them as coffee house. Coffee shop is a place where you get these drugs like cannabis and marijuana and heroin and other kind of drugs. So you can get a lot of drugs and other stuff, illegal stuff. It is illegal, but it's not punishable. That's what they say. So they are called coffee shops. So if you plan to visit Netherlands, just don't assume that a coffee shop is where you get the general tea and coffee and other stuff. It's the exact opposite. Belgians are known for their compromise. They are known for the common sense, cleanliness, etc. France is very good. There's very good relations between the government and the industry because there is a university system called Grandes Écoles, where a lot of people who study from that university, they occupy the top management positions. So there's like a big connection between the government, the education system, and the industry. So it's like a good connection. German people, they are very good long-term planners. They have respect for highly educated people. So and they prefer separation of private and their business life. In Norway, they also have they are not good for. I mean, they're not used to compromising things, especially in the oil industry. We have heard cases where Norwegian offshore oil workers have had issues with the US people, but still they're not going to compromise on any of the stuff. In Switzerland, they are highly qualified force. If you talk about key personal descriptors of any professional from either of the countries, if you talk about Denmark, let me tell about the one common thing that we can observe from each of the countries. They're all egalitarian. By egalitarian, we mean that there is equality of thought. That is, people are considered equal, and there's no discrimination between people there in Europe, most part of Europe. So most of the countries that we have here, they all have an egalitarian approach, and they are all punctual. So if you think about Europe as a whole, people are egalitarian, they are really punctual, except the Scandinavian countries. If you go towards the north, like Norway, Sweden, Finland, they are a little informal and relaxed. They don't mind a little late or something. These are some of the stuff here. And if you talk about Germany, Germans are considered to be the most punctual people in the world. Like if you just miss it by a minute or so, they'll be really furious, and they might reject the project for just being a little late for the project. So these are all the characteristics of people, European people from different countries. And if you talk about Switzerland, they place great importance on your appearance and footwear. So Switzerland and France are similar in when it comes to appearance and everything, because Switzerland, they look at your footwear first. They place great importance on your dressing sense. You need to be groomed well, and you need to wear really good shoes and everything. France, of course, people lay more importance on fashion and the way you dress. So if you want to do business in France or Switzerland, you got to invest more on clothes and everything. But if you talk about Sweden and Denmark, you don't have to invest that much. It's more like more informal stuff. It's like America. If you go for a meeting, it's okay. You have to be just informal. It's fine. So let's talk about another situation. So if you want to introduce yourself in a business situation, what do you do? Of course, everyone does the shaking hands and everything, but there are subtle differences between each countries. So we have just come up with subtle differences. Like in Denmark, you have shake hands on arrival and departure. You have something called hage, which is similar to hi or something. And Sweden, the funny thing about Sweden is this: if you go to Sweden and ask a person like, "Hi, how are you?" they really think that they want to know how they are in their life or something. But in the United States, if you think about it, it's just a formal way of saying hi or hello. So you got to say, you got to be really careful when you do business in such countries. You just have to say, "Hi, it's a pleasure to meet you," or something. You don't have to say the common American lingo or everything. So Netherlands, it's again shaking hands, just introduction needing a formal academic credentials. And we don't have to initiate more personal stuff. They don't have the time or the interest to learn, to know about your personal life and everything. So it's just like a formal introduction, and they just get on the job. But the United States, if you think about United States, you involve in a lot of small talk, a lot of humorous talk,